An LAPD alert tonight. A purse snatcher is targeting women in trendy Westside restaurants and bars.
The CBS 2 team is here, and the suspect search is our top story.
Security video shows the bandit walking into one restaurant, then brazenly swiping customers' purses and cell phones. Tonight, CBS 2's Jeff Nguyen is live in Venice with details. Jeff?
Susie and Jeff, the restaurant behind us, says that it has increased security to protect customers. In the meantime, business owners along Abercrombie say this is a good reminder to be vigilant about your stuff no matter where you are.
He definitely knows what he's doing.
Kelly Smith is talking about security video captured at Wabi Venice. It clearly shows this man snatching a purse from the bar and tucking it underneath his clothing before walking out.
Something that's very common around here, unfortunately.
Smith works across the street from the restaurant on Abercrombie near Venice Boulevard. She says it was yesterday when a person came into her store while two iPhones sat on the counter and she had to go to the back for just a few minutes.
And by the time I came back, he had taken both phones.
Management at Wabi Venice released a security video so you can get a good look at him. We've frozen a few images.
Every staff member got texted that so that way everybody knows.
Security has been beefed up here, and the man's picture has been posted in the back to make sure everyone who works here is familiar with his face.
We've got secondary window servers now that know what the guy looks like. He's not getting in here unless he's full on a master of disguise.
Ashley Sanchez also works in the area. She says she normally leaves her purse out in plain sight, but that will now change.
It is kind of sad because it shouldn't be that way.
Abercrombie is often called America's coolest street, where diners hang out with their purses on the counter near high-end businesses that are now being warned about this guy.
I think people do feel very comfortable here. They think that it's safe, and then I also think that people prey upon that.
Management here says that the guy struck at least twice last month. The third time he showed up, security and staff spotted him, so he ran off. If you happen to recognize the guy, the LAPD would like to hear from you. Jeff and Susie, we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. Sky 2 live over breaking news right now, a house fire in Burbank.
That's right. Let's go up to Stu Muntel with the very latest on this blaze. Stu?
Well, Jeff, Susie, this house fire actually probably not even the biggest part of this story happening out at Burbank. This is going to be the corner of Niagara and Jeffries. This is a home that was actually a part of a standoff just moments ago. The person inside, the suspect, actually was inside that house. There were shots fired. Burbank PD out here. That house has been surrounded. That suspect inside. Somehow that suspect got out of that house and set the home on fire. The suspect now in the neighborhood. You can see Burbank PD just arriving out here on scene. That suspect now on the loose. This again happening in Burbank. This is going to be the corner of Jeffries, but that house is actually on Niagara. Now, moments ago, just before we went live, we heard just Burbank PD talking about that suspect possibly seen running on Jeffries. Right now, though, you can see law enforcement out here in force, still protecting the firefighters that are just arriving here on scene. An armed suspect may be on the loose in the neighborhood. His house now on fire. Live in Sky 2 over Burbank, I'm Stu Mundell. Back to you two in the studio.
All right, Stu, thank you. A small plane crash killed 2 people in Hesperia today, just south of the Hesperia airport. The crash also brought down power lines and sparked a small brush fire. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department is now trying to figure out who was on board and what exactly caused the crash.
A dramatic increase tonight in arrests of the undocumented who have not committed crimes after crossing the border. ICE arrested 3 times as many of these people last year compared to the year before. Now, this despite the fact that ICE says it is only targeting undocumented people who commit violent crimes while here. The raids and arrests are having a chilling effect in L.A. immigrant communities tonight. And CBS 2's Chris Holmstrom is live in downtown with that part of the story. Chris?
Jeff, a lot of these people are living in fear. They're worried that at any moment ICE agents will just go to their door and arrest them.
It was 5:30 a.m. when ICE came to Esther's apartment.
The ACLU putting out this video for undocumented immigrants. It's titled, "We Have Rights When ICE is Outside Our Doors."
ICE had been making early morning sweeps using tricks like this to get people to open their doors.
Information that could prevent arrest. Friday night, many of them shared their stories at the headquarters of Chirla. What was supposed to be a Father's Day event turned into a Family Day event.
We have to be more careful more than ever.
Rosa is an active DACA recipient. Her parents, on the other hand, undocumented from Mexico. A constant fear for her family.
It could turn into being detained, going into a detention center, being sent back to a country that, I don't know, that my family doesn't know anymore.
For Rosa, her parents are still here, but this mother and daughter, not so lucky.
This just breaking up more families. It's creating more children in the foster system. It's just creating a bigger mess than a solution.
Diana Escamilla is with the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. She says their goal is to get people out of the shadows and teach them about their rights, especially when it comes to ICE.
I always tell people don't say things, don't sign things, and just speak to a lawyer, as well as get informed.
And through education, she's hoping more families will stay together.
This is all scary, but remember, we have rights.
And immigration advocates say they will continue protesting these ICE arrests until these arrests come to an end. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
A man says a Border Patrol vehicle ran over him, then sped off. Paulo Rimes took the video. He lives on a Native American reservation in Arizona that's right by the Mexican border. The tribe does not support a border wall and wants border agents to leave their land. The Border Patrol is investigating now and says the agency does not tolerate misconduct.
President Trump's former campaign manager is in jail after getting his bail revoked. Paul Manafort is waiting for his trial on multiple felony charges. This came after special counsel Robert Mueller today filed additional charges against Manafort for witness tampering.
Now, Manafort has pleaded not guilty to all the charges against him. Sources tell CBS News tonight he's banking on a presidential pardon if he is convicted.
Well, President Trump, a bit of a surprise today for reporters with that off-the-cuff news conference.
Yeah, he talked about everything from immigration to the Russia investigation. CBS 2 political reporter Dave Bryan joins us with the wild highlights. Dave?
It was wild. I'm not saying the president missed the reporters, but he did walk to the area where they were all hanging out, right? The president walked out of the White House to the North Lawn Friday and was surrounded by reporters and cameras. By the time he retreated to the White House, that was almost an hour later, he made plenty of news and delivered some fake facts while he was at it. President Trump made a rare appearance on the White House North Lawn, where the presidential press usually hangs out, telling reporters that the Justice Department Inspector General's report this week on Hillary Clinton's email server issues absolves him from having done anything wrong in the Russia investigation.
I think that the report yesterday, maybe more importantly than anything, it totally exonerates me. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction.
But the truth is, the report did not address anything about possible collusion or obstruction by anyone with regard to the Russia investigation.
He then made all these claims. There were a torrent of inaccuracies and falsehoods.
The president covered a lot of ground in his 49-minute scrum with the White House press, but he got his facts wrong 19 times, according to NBC News, either lying or misstating facts, they said. And Mr. Trump also inaccurately blamed the Democrats for the new Justice Department policy that separates families at the border, a decision the Democrats had nothing to do with.
That's the law, and that's what the Democrats gave us, and we're willing to change it today if they want to get in and negotiate, but they just don't want to negotiate.
We're seeing something where the president literally says whatever it is he feels like is on his mind, regardless of its veracity or its even any relation to the truth.
Now, the president also today told reporters he expects to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin sometime this summer. Mr. Trump's defense secretary, James Mattis, told a Navy War College audience today that Putin seeks to shatter NATO and undermine America's moral authority. Susie, back to you.
Dave, thank you. Developing news tonight, a violent robbery at a San Bernardino gas station and the clerk was killed. CBS 2's Tina Patel has the details.
Really thought he was going to pull through.
Kay Manzoor is still trying to process the fact that his friend, 30-year-old Bashu Solomon, is gone. Solomon was working as a clerk at the World gas station on Orange Show Road Friday evening when a 17-year-old came in to rob the place.
The clerk interacted with him for a few minutes. The suspect got impatient and unfortunately shot the clerk.
Police say even after Solomon was shot, he tried to stop the teen from getting away. Manzoor isn't surprised to hear that.
That type of person, he jumped on him after. We just tried to make sure he didn't get away. even after he was shot.
The gunman did get away on foot, but Colton police tracked him down a quarter-mile away and arrested him. Solomon was taken to a nearby hospital but did not survive. His friend says he was a kind, upbeat person with 2 young kids.
No one deserves this.
Police are reviewing the surveillance video and interviewing the 17-year-old suspect right now. They don't have much information on his background yet. As for Solomon's family, they're in the process of putting together a GoFundMe account to help with funeral costs. In San Bernardino, Tina Patel, CBS 2 News.
More than just a lover's quarrel, what a woman did to her boyfriend that's getting her slapped with a huge fine.
That's ahead. Plus, a local breeder pleads for help tonight finding missing poodle puppies after they were stolen from a yard.
The more we learn about sharks, the safer people can be.
And beefing up Shark Patrol, the ambitious new plan to track sharks along our coast.
Hi, everybody. I'm Garth Kemp. Well, it's been a nice couple of warm days. We're going to cool it off, then warm it back up. We'll show you the forecast.
And here's a look at the guests tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.